This is going to be a rather different video. I don't normally talk about political things or changes that are happening in the country, but in this case I feel I have to. This is from the recent article in the Irish Times on the 15th of March 2024. Default speed limits on national and secondary roads will be cut from 100 kilometres to 80 kilometres and from 80 kilometres to 60 on rural and local roads, which are the majority of roads in Ireland, and from 50 to 30 kilometres on roads in built-up and urban areas. This is going to happen by the end of the year.
So in urban areas, the proposal is to have a default baseline of 30 kilometres per hour, with 50 kilometres facilitated for arterial or radial roads, for national secondary roads to reduce the speed limit from 100 to 80, and then for rural or local roads to bring that back from 80 to 60.
Let's look at a bit of history of this. Back in March 2022, the Transport Infrastructure Ireland released a document, Impact of the National Road Speed Limit Reduction on Greenhouse Gas Emissions, which also covered safety. In this report, reducing the speed limits, it reckoned, would actually cause 35 additional fatalities a year, and resulting in it taking longer for goods to be transported, services to be provided, and employment destinations to be reached, which would cost $217 million a year. And on emissions, because when vehicles move slower, they're less efficient, especially at the 30 kilometres mark. It would be better to have better traffic management, it suggested, rather than cutting the speed limit to 30k in areas. Well, as you can imagine, the Minister for Transport, Eamon Ryan, was not happy with this, so he discarded this report and asked for a new one. This is according to Limerick Independent TD Richard O'Donoghue, and added that he considered it an obsessive Green Party move that will not slow climate change but will make roads more unsafe and harm the economy. This was also backed up by Rural Independent TD Deputy Matthew McGrath. And I quote, because it concluded that reducing speed limits would have minimal impact on emissions and would result in an additional 35 deaths a year. Jumping in to back Eamon Ryan was the Green Party's spokesman on Transport, Energy and Climate Action, which called this independent report ridiculous. So, Minister Eamon Ryan got busy and got his department to produce two reports. So let's look at the modelling report first. Well, the interesting thing about this modelling report is that some of it's based on other modelling reports, some of which are as old as 40 years old. And in a way, it's like comparing apples with aubergines. Although in the modelling assessment report, it does reference by picture only the first report by the TII, but then completely ignores all of the findings from it. Then in the speed limit review, we have the gospel according to Eamon Ryan and Jack Chambers. In both of these documents from the Department of Transport, they used the Netherlands and Norway a lot as examples. But the strange thing is, both those countries have speed limits which are similar to what we have currently at the moment in Ireland. Documents like these always have a whiff of, these are the results we want you to achieve in the document. Now write the document. When people think of rural and regional roads, they think of very small lanes. They forget that most of the rural roads in Ireland connect most of the towns in Ireland. So imagine driving from Monaghan to Cavan, you'd have to do 60 kilometres all the way. And let's put 60 kilometres in perspective, it's 37 miles an hour. And our national roads would be going to 80 kilometres, which is just under 50 miles an hour. In the excellent article in The Grift by John McGurk, entitled The Government's Entirely Dishonest Speed Limit Idea, he states, it should be noted that there is zero evidence that speed limits, as opposed to speed, had any role in the recent deaths on Irish road. Nor is there any obvious reason why they should play a role. Most deaths on Irish roads are connected to breaches in the law around speed and driving safely, not their observation. There has been almost no reaction from any of the government parties or from the opposition, who seem to remain silent. The only people speaking out against this are the independents. Are the opposition asleep? Or are they so disconnected from the general public of Ireland that they don't realise the effects that this will have on the country? Now, let's sum up. No one wants anyone to die on our roads, but the recent deaths have been caused by a number of factors. They are excessive speed, often combined with drink and drug use, and the dreaded mobile phone, which is such a distraction when people are driving. And this blanket speed limit reduction, will it make our roads safer? No, it'll lead to more deaths. Will it help the environment? No, there'll be more pollution. And will it help the economy? No, it'll cost 217 extra million a year. So when the candidates for the local election and the European Parliament come knocking on your door, make your voice heard on this matter. Don't let the government parties bring this in by stealth. Notice they're keeping it very quiet at the moment. And I'm going to finish off with a clip of Michael Healy-Rae on Sky, a person I normally wouldn't agree with, but he actually speaks sense in this.
Away there for a long time, and all of a sudden now they come out and they make this announcement, and it's all now about speed. And it's a dramatic reduction. To go from 100, we'll say, to 80 in many of our roads. People that do that, I did it this evening, and instead of travelling at 90 or 100 when the road there was nothing in front of me, I purposely went along at 80. And to be honest with you, what I can see happening, it's going to lead to frustration in drivers, and people are not going to be happy with it.
Why would you be frustrated driving at 80 kilometres an hour?
I'll tell you why. Because if it's not necessary...
Like, you're not talking about a motorway now, you're talking about a national road.
But the point is, it's up to people. When you see a speed limit, we have roads that say 80, and 30 would be more appropriate. So just because a speed limit is on a road, that's not something, a target that you have to achieve. You have to use your own brain.
Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you.